In the vast, endless grasslands of the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, there once lived an old lion who had carved out a legendary reputation across the region. For many years, he was not just any lion. He was a symbol of power, pride, and leadership. His mighty roars could be heard echoing across the plains as he stood tall atop the highest rocks, watching over his pride. The sounds of his roar were not only a call of dominance, but also a warning to any danger that dared come too close. He ruled the land with quiet strength, leading his pride to the wilds of Serengeti with unmatched skill and ferocity. In his younger years, this lion was a formidable predator. He was swift, fearless, and unrelenting. Whether it was the swift wildebeest, the mighty buffalo, or any other challenge the savannah threw his way, he met it head-on with the confidence of a king. His leadership was unquestioned, and his pride flourished under his watchful gaze. A deep scar across his forehead was the proud mark of a battle he had fought and won. A fierce encounter with a giant buffalo that, in the end, he had vanquished. The scar became a symbol of his indomitable spirit and courage, and it told the story of a lion who had seen countless battles and emerged victorious. For many years, he remained the heart and soul of the Serengeti, becoming a living legend. Tourists traveled from across the world, hoping to catch a glimpse of this mighty lion whose presence seemed to embody the very spirit of the savannah. His story was told and retold, becoming an integral part of the Serengeti's history and identity. However, as with all things, time began to catch up with the old lion. His legs, once strong and swift, began to tire. The muscles that had once propelled him across the plains now slowed with age. His majestic mane, thick and powerful in his youth, started to fray, showing patches of dark skin underneath. The lion, though still revered, was no longer the force he once was. The younger, stronger lions of the pride gradually took over leadership, and the old lion, with his years of wisdom, accepted his fading role. He stepped aside from the pride and wandered to the quieter corners of the reserve, finding solace in the peace of solitude. Though he no longer led hunts or roared from the top of the rocks, he still kept a watchful eye over the land he had once ruled. Every morning, he would look out toward the horizon, where the red dawn painted the sky, and for a brief moment, he would be transported back to his golden years, remembering the days when he was the undisputed king of the Serengeti. The lion's life now had a quiet rhythm. Occasionally, he would wander near the fence separating the reserve from a nearby farm, hoping to find a small meal to sustain him. The farmers who worked the land had become accustomed to seeing the once mighty lion in his weakened state. His figure, once grand and powerful, was now thin and frail, but he still carried himself with a quiet dignity. The farmers, despite their worries for him, respected the lion. They understood that he was a living legend, a part of the land's history. Some of them, moved by compassion, would leave small offerings of meat near the fence, providing the lion with a chance to survive. He never growled or threatened them. Instead, he quietly accepted the gift, eating it in silence before moving on, grateful for the kindness he had been shown. As the days turned into weeks, the old lion's health continued to decline. One particularly hot afternoon, after nearly a week of unsuccessful hunting, the lion found himself exhausted. His stomach was empty, his throat dry, and his once powerful limbs barely able to carry him forward. The vast grasslands, which had once been his kingdom, now felt like an insurmountable challenge. He struggled to find food, and the pangs of hunger became unbearable. With his energy nearly spent, the lion stumbled upon a small patch of wet mud beneath a withered tree, offering a momentary relief from the heat. He sank into the mud, seeking to cool his overheated body. It was there, in the quiet embrace of the mud, that exhaustion finally overtook him. He fell into a deep, peaceful sleep, as if he had not rested in years. When he awoke a few hours later, the sun was still hot, and the mud around him had dried, trapping his body in place. His hunger was unbearable, and every muscle in his body screamed in pain. He struggled to move, but the mud had become a trap, sucking away all his remaining strength. The wind howled across the dry grasslands, carrying the faint sound of his groans. The lion's body was a shell of what it had once been, weak, tired, and struggling to survive. Meanwhile, the farmers, still working nearby, heard the faint sound and instinctively rushed toward it. They approached cautiously, unsure what they might find. When they saw the old lion, They were initially filled with fear. This was the lion they had heard stories about, the mighty king of the savannah. But what they saw before them was not the fierce predator they expected. Instead, they found a pitiful sight. The lion, once powerful and regal, was now weak and exhausted, lying helpless in the mud. His head was lowered, his breath shallow. The farmers' fear quickly melted away, replaced by a deep sense of compassion. Despite their hesitation, the three farmers knew they could not leave the lion to die. They discussed quickly, and without a second thought, they set to work. Using ropes, wooden stakes, and all the strength they could muster, they tried to pull the lion free. The thick mud clung to his body, making every movement difficult. The heat from the sun made their work even more challenging, but they did not give up. They could not abandon a life so precious. With every drop of sweat, they fought to free the lion, determined to save him from the trap that had almost claimed his life. After what felt like an eternity, the old lion was finally freed from the mud. His body rolled onto the sun-baked grass, panting heavily. He was too weak to fight back, his once fierce spirit now a mere shadow of its former self. The farmers, cautious but hopeful, stepped back, waiting to see what the lion would do. They feared that, despite everything, the lion might attack. But to their surprise, he did nothing. He simply lay there, breathing heavily, his body too weak to move. 5 minutes passed in silence, the farmers unsure what to expect next. Realizing that the lion needed professional help, the farmers decided to call for assistance. 15 minutes later, an all-terrain vehicle arrived, driven by Bakery, a man who had been following the lion's story for years. He admired the lion's resilience and strength, and he had seen firsthand how the lion had weathered the years. Bakery quickly assessed the situation, relieved to find that the lion had no serious injuries. Instead, the problem was exhaustion, dehydration, and malnutrition. With a sigh of relief, Bakery reassured the farmers that the lion would be fine with rest and proper care. He took out a tube of health support medicine and injected it into the lion's muscles. While waiting for the medicine to take effect, Bakery instructed everyone to step back, giving the lion space. The sun beat down relentlessly, but the farmers and Bakery remained patient, watching as the lion's condition slowly began to improve. After about 10 minutes, the lion began to stir. It raised its head, sniffed the air, and blinked a few times. Bakery checked its pulse and nodded, signaling that the lion was beginning to recover. Knowing that the lion would need food to regain its strength, Bakery fetched some meat from the truck and placed it a few meters away from the lion. The lion, still weak but now more alert, sniffed the air, hesitated for a moment, then shakily rose to its feet. With cautious steps, it approached the meat and took its first bite. The farmers and Bakery watched with bated breath as the lion ate slowly, its eyes still weary, but filled with a silent gratitude. The farmers smiled, relieved to see the lion eating. It was a good sign. Though the lion's body would take time to recover, this small victory was enough to give them hope. Bakery assured the farmers that the conservation team would continue to monitor the lion's health and, if necessary, move him to a more suitable area in the reserve with easier access to food and water. As the old lion finished its meal, it looked up at the farmers with deep, thoughtful eyes. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the lion's dusty back. Each strand of its mane dyed with a golden light. The farmers, feeling a deep sense of respect for the creature they had saved, nodded and quietly left, giving the lion the space it needed to rest. In the days that followed, the old lion slowly regained his strength. He wandered the savannah, still carrying the dignity of a king, though no longer the fierce predator he had once been. Tourists passing through the reserve would speak of the old lion, sharing the story of how he had been saved from death by the kindness of humans. The lion's legacy continued to live on, not just as a symbol of strength, but as a testament to the bond between humans and nature. Bakery, as he drove back from his patrol, secretly hoped to see the lion again. He knew that while the lion's journey might be nearing its end, its spirit would always remain free, roaming the vast savannah. And as the sun set on the Serengeti, the old lion walked quietly across the land, carrying with him the respect and admiration of all who had witnessed his resilience and survival. Thank you for taking the time to follow this remarkable story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel to continue supporting us.